Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Sanjeev Sharma from Government College Nadon, Himachal Pradesh. Today we are going to talk on module form of company's profit and loss account and profit and loss appropriation account from paper accounting and financial analysis. After studying the module, the students may able to understand the meaning of financial statements under Companies Act 2013, statement of profit and loss account or profit and loss account along with its brief interpretation, cash flow statement, consolidated financial statement, and the statement of changes in equity. Companies Act 2013 was framed on September 2013 by obtaining the consent of President of India, therefore replacing the Companies Act 1956. The Companies Act 2013 comprises of 470 sections, 7 schedules and 29 chapters. It is the Act of Parliament which includes the provisions regarding the incorporation, merger, acquisition, final accounts preparation, dissolution, etc. Final accounts of the company need to be prepared under the provisions of the Companies Act 2013. Highlights of financial reporting as per Companies Act 2013. The term financial statement has been used instead of the term balance sheet and profit and loss account as used in old Act. It means the term financial statement, not balance sheet and profit and loss, will be used now. In place of balance sheet and profit and loss account, financial statement word will be used. Companies must follow the accounting period starting from 1st April to 31st March of next year. Financial statement should include cash flow statement as well as the statement of changes in equity if applicable. Further, National Advisory Committee on Accounting Standards is replaced by National Financial Reporting Authority with additional powers of setting up audit standards and investigating some of the serious professional misconducts. The Act also allows for reopening of books of accounts and recasting of financial statements. From present figure, it is clear that earlier words balance sheet and profit and loss were used for final accounts, but in Companies Act 2013, these words are replaced by financial statements. Further, Companies Act 2013 has specified accounting period that is starting from 1st April to 31st March of next year. And financial statements also include cash flow statement and statement of changes in equity. These were not included according to Companies Act 1956, but now Companies Act 2013 has specified that these statements, that is cash flow statement and statement of changes in equity, should be included in financial statements. Further, it is clear from the figure that National Advisory Committee on Accounting Standards is now replaced by National Financial Reporting Authority. In Companies Act 2013, now the Advisory Committee is replaced by National Financial Reporting Authority. Now, let us discuss what is the meaning of financial statements as per Companies Act 2013. Section 2, subsection 40 of the Companies Act 2013 defines financial statements. According to Section 129, subsection 1, the financial statements shall depict a true and fair view or picture of the affairs of the company and comply with accounting standards stated under Section 133. All companies, whether public or private, and irrespective of their area of operations, is required to prepare the financial statements as prescribed by or under Schedule 3rd of the Companies Act 2013. So types of financial statements. What are different types of financial statements that should be prepared under Companies Act 2013? According to Section 240 of the Companies Act 2013, financial statement in relation to companies include a balance sheet, a profit and loss account or statement of profit and loss, cash flow statement, a statement of changes in equity if applicable, any explanatory note annexed to or forming part of any documentary referred to subclass 1 to subclass 4. The present figure further clarify the types of financial statement which are required under Companies Act 2013, and it can be divided into 5 parts. First, balance sheet. Balance sheet means position statement showing assets and liabilities, a profit and loss account or statement of profit and loss account. Then cash flow statement. This cash flow statement is prepared to show the changes in financial position between two balance sheets, a statement of changes in equity if applicable to that company, and any explanatory note. All these are the financial statements which are required by the Companies Act 2013. Now let us understand the meaning of Schedule 3rd of the Companies Act 2013. Schedule 3rd to the Companies Act 2013 deals with the form of balance sheet and the statement of profit and loss and classified disclosure to be made therein, and it applies uniformity to all the companies registered under the Companies Act. It is prescribed form for the preparation of financial statements or final accounts of an accounting year, that is 1st April to 31st March. Schedule 3rd of Companies Act 2013 includes following division. It has got 2 divisions. Part 1 is related with company's balance sheet and part 2 is related with company's statement of profit and loss. In present figure, division of Schedule 3rd of the Companies Act 2013 is given. It is divided into 2 parts, Part 1 and Part 2. Part 1 of Schedule 3rd and Part 2 of Schedule 3rd. Part 1 deals with company's balance sheet and Part 2 is related with company's statement of profit and loss account. Now it is required that the company's balance sheet and company's statement of profit and loss account should be prepared according to format given in Schedule 3rd of the Companies Act. It is important to have the knowledge of statement of profit and loss. Part 2 of Schedule 3rd provides the format and journal instructions for preparation of statement of profit and loss. They are similar to those given in revised Schedule 6, but under the old Schedule 6 there was no format provided for statement of profit and loss. Only the requirements were provided. Now, financial statements as per Companies Act 2013 are shown or cleared with the help of the present figure. All companies are required to prepare the financial statement as prescribed under Schedule 3rd of the Companies Act 2013. It is the first requirement for all companies that they have to prepare their financial statements according to Schedule 3rd of Companies Act 2013. Further, Part 2 of Schedule 3rd provides the format and general guidelines or instructions for preparation of statement of profit and loss account or profit and loss account or statement of profit and loss. The format of statement of profit and loss as per Schedule 3rd to the Companies Act 2013 applicable for the financial year commencing on or after 1st April 2011 is given here, and it is clear from the figure that revenue from operation is divided into 2 parts. First is domestic turnover and second is export turnover. Domestic turnover include sale of goods manufactured, sale of goods traded, sale or supply of services. And export turnover include sale of goods manufactured, sale of goods traded, sale or supply of services, and other income. The income is divided into two parts. First is revenue from operation and second is other income. And when both of these are added, we will get the total revenue. The fourth point is related with the expenses. Expenses include cost of material consumed, purchases of stock in trade, changes in inventories of finished goods, work in progress, and stock in trade, employee benefit expenses, finance cost, depreciation and amortization expenses, other expenses. And when all these expenses are added, we will get the total expenses. And with the help of revenue and expenses, profits are calculated for the period. This is shown in this present slide. And lastly, earning per share is also calculated and shown in statement of profit and loss. Now, revenue from operation. Here only revenue on account of company's main operating activities disclosed. It means revenue which is generated from the company's main operating activity should be disclosed in the heading revenue from operation. Other income. Here the revenue not arising from main operating activity of the company is disclosed. Cost of material consumed. Only the manufacturing company need to disclose it and would include consumption of raw material, packing material, purchased intermediaries, and components consumed in manufacturing activities. Purchases of stock in trade. It is applicable only to the manufacturing companies and consists of only goods purchased with the intention to resell them. Employee benefit expenses. The aggregate amount is shown in the statement of profit and loss. The breakup should be disclosed in the notes to accounts as per paragraph 5(1)(a). Finance costs. Aggregate amount is disclosed in the profit and loss account. Finance cost shall be classified as interest expenses, other borrowing costs, net gross profit or gain or loss on foreign currency transactions. Depreciation expenses. The term amortization has been newly added to the term depreciation. Amortization refers to systematic allocation of the depreciable amount of an intangible asset over its entire useful life. Exceptional items. The total impact of the exceptional items like gain or loss on disposal of long-term investments, legislative changes having retrospective application, litigation settlements, disposal of items of fixed assets, and other reversals of provisions, etc. are to be disclosed. Example for RAM or example related with RAM Trading Company is given and required to prepare statement of profit and loss account with the help of these informations for the year ending on 31st March 2015. Information provided is stock in trade on 1st April 2014, purchases of stock in trade, other expenses, revenue from operations, employee benefit expenses, other income, depreciation expenses, finance costs, tax expenses, and in adjustment stock in trade 50,000 on 31st March 2015 is given, and we are required to prepare a statement of profit and loss for the year ending on 31st March 2015 with the help of these informations. Profit and loss statement of RAM Trading Company Limited for the year ending 31st March 2015 is given here. First of all, revenue from operation is calculated and given. Then other income is added in revenue from operation and total revenue is calculated. After that, expenses, that is purchases of stock in trade, change in inventories, that is opening stock in trade minus closing stock in trade, employee benefit expenses, finance cost, depreciation and amortization expenses, other expenses are added and total expenses are calculated. And by deducting total expenses from total revenue, profit before tax is calculated, which is 48,400, and from this profit tax expenses are further deducted to get the profit after tax. So it is clear from the table or account or statement of profit and loss account that revenue is of two types, that is revenue from operation and other income. Further, expenses are of different types such as purchases of stock, change in inventories, employee benefit expenses, finance cost, depreciation and other expenses. And by deducting the expenses from revenue, we will get the profit before tax, and after deducting the tax, we will get the profit after tax. The surplus of profit and loss statement. The statement presenting the disposal of divisible profits is called surplus of profit and loss statement. This statement is to be prepared in notes to accounts to the balance sheet and will appear as follows. Surplus of profit and loss statement is given here, and for preparing this statement we will start with last year's profit and loss balance, then current year profit and loss is added in it, then add the transfer from reserve, adjustment related to past years such as excess provision for taxation in previous years, and by adding these items total profit is calculated. Then from this total profit, total appropriations are deducted to calculate the surplus deficit to be carried to reserve and surplus. Appropriations include transfer to general reserve, transfer to development rebate reserve, transfer to dividend equalization reserve, transfer to debenture redemption reserve, preference dividend, interim dividend on equity shares, proposed or final dividend on equity shares, corporate dividend tax. So this shows that from total profit, total appropriations are deducted and remaining is transferred to reserve and surplus. Now it is important to note that as there is no provision of profit and loss appropriation account in the format of balance sheet given in third schedule of the Companies Act 2013. Hence, surplus of profit and loss statement or surplus of statement of profit and loss or surplus in statement of profit and loss has been used in place of profit and loss appropriation account. Now, cash flow statement. What is the meaning of cash flow statement? As per section 2 subsection 40 of the Companies Act 2013, the financial statement should include cash flow statement for the respective financial year. The cash flow statement was not mandatory to be disclosed earlier, but with the introduction of new act, it has made compulsory for the companies to disclose it in the accounts. The listing agreements requires the use of indirect method of cash flow statement preparation by listed companies, whereas non-listed companies have choice of either following direct method or indirect method. Cash flow statement is an important statement which is required to be prepared with the introduction of new act, that is Companies Act 2013. And in this figure it is shown that earlier, according to Companies Act 1956, it was not mandatory to be disclosed, but now with the introduction of new act, it is compulsory for the companies to disclose cash flow statement. It is mandatory for all companies to prepare cash flow statement. It means cash flow statement has become an important part of financial statements of the companies. Now, which method of cash flow statement preparation should be used? It is cleared by the present figure. It is clear from the figure that for listed companies, it is mandatory to use the indirect method for the preparation of cash flow statement, whereas for non-listed companies, choice of either following direct method or the indirect method. They have option, they can use direct method or indirect method. There is no such compulsion for these companies, but in case of listed companies, these companies has to use indirect method of cash flow statement preparation. Now, what are the different heads of cash flow statement? The cash flow statement reveals the movement of cash, that is inflow and outflow in an organization, and is classified under three heads: cash from operating activities, cash from investing activities, cash from financing activities. Now, cash from operating activities, it is the main revenue generating activity. For example, cash receipt from sale of goods, fees, royalties, commission, cash payment to suppliers for goods and services, etc. Now, investing activities, it comprises of the activities resulting from purchase or sale of long-term investments and property. For example, cash receipt from disposal of fixed assets, including intangibles, cash payments to acquire shares, warrants, debts, instruments, or other enterprises, etc. Financing activity, reports issuing and repurchase of companies' own bonds and stock, and the payment of dividends are the examples of financing activities. Further, it includes receipt from issuing shares or debentures, bonds, borrowing, and repayment of borrowed amount of capital or loan, etc. Cash flow statement is mainly divided into three activities, and it is shown with the help of this figure. The first activity is operating activities, that is cash from operating activities. Operating means main business activity of the business, and whether firm is generating cash from operations or not. The second is investing activities. Investing means purchasing assets, for example purchasing fixed assets, where firm is using its resources or funds. Investing activities, that is cash from investing activities. And third is cash from financing activities, from where the firm is obtaining resources, finance, for example issue of share capital, issue of debentures, is shown with the help of financing activities. Consolidated financial statement, unlike Schedule 4 of the Companies Act 1956, the Companies Act 2013 has inserted the general instruction for preparation of consolidated financial statements in Schedule 3rd. It is required that if company is holding 2 or more subsidiaries, it need to prepare a consolidated statement on account in the same format as it is preparing its own. Presently, following accounting standards are applicable for the purpose of disclosure. Accounting Standard 21 is related with defining the meaning of subsidiaries. Accounting Standard 23, accounting for investment in associates in consolidated financial statements. Accounting Standard number 27 is related with financial reporting of interests in joint venture. While calculating minority interest, share of minority in net profit of consolidated subsidiaries should be calculated for the reporting period and charged against the consolidated profit. Minority interest means the portion of net assets of the subsidiaries not controlled by the parent company. It is clear from present figure that according to Companies Act 2013, it requires that if a company is holding 2 or more subsidiaries, it need to prepare a consolidated statement of accounts in the same format as it is preparing its own. In consolidated financial statements, the following shall be disclosed by way of additional information, and this provision has been introduced for very first time under Companies Act 2013. Earlier this provision was not applicable. This was introduced for very first time under Companies Act 2013, and present figure shows that how the information should be disclosed by way of additional information. This slide also makes clear that how the consolidated statement should be shown. It is a part of format of consolidated statement. Now it is necessary to define statement of changes in equity. The financial statements as per section 2 subsection 40 includes the statement of changes in equity as well. It is taken from International Financial Reporting Standard. As per International Accounting Standard 1, the preparation of statement of changes in equity is required. However, neither any format for the statement nor any definition or explanation regarding the same is available under Schedule 3 of the Act. It is clear from this figure that statement of changes in equity should be included in financial statements, and it is taken from International Financial Reporting Standards. Further, International Accounting Standard number 1 is also related with the preparation of statement of changes in equity, but no format for the statement is available under Schedule 3 of the Companies Act 2013 in India. Section 2 subsection 40 of the Companies Act 2013 states that the statement of changes in equity, if applicable, be a part of the financial statement. It means that it is not required by every company to prepare the statement, and that it should be prepared and presented only if it is applicable to them. It is not required for all companies. It is required for those companies for which it is applicable. So students, let us now summarize what we have learned in this module. Companies Act 2013 is a replacement of old Companies Act 1956. The term financial statement has been used in new act instead of balance sheet and profit and loss account as used in old act. The companies must follow the accounting period starting from 1st April to 31st March of next year, and the financial statement should include cash flow statement as well as statement of changes in equity if applicable. According to section 129 subsection 1, the financial statements shall depict a true and fair picture of the affairs of the company and comply with the accounting standard referred under section 133. The format and journal instructions are laid down under part 2 of Schedule 3 regarding preparation of statement of profit and loss. Schedule 3 have also made it compulsory for company to present cash flow statement along with the final accounts under the Companies Act 2013. Unlike earlier schedule of Companies Act 1956, the Companies Act 2013 has inserted the journal instructions for preparation of consolidated financial statements in Schedule 3. As per accounting standard, that is International Accounting Standard 1, the preparation of statement of changes in equity is also required. Thank you.